Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you, and today we have one that I'm pretty excited about. This is the Spyderco Sage 1 in Maxamet. This is a new for 2021 model. It is a liner lock. If you're not familiar with the Sage lineup, each model, Sage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, came with a different lock mechanism. The 1 was the first, comes with a standard liner lock. The 5, which you're going to see here in a moment, is the other one that I have. That is a compression lock. There was a ball bearing lock. There was a frame lock. I don't remember all the numbers for all the other ones, but the 1 and 5 I do know because I have both of them. But yeah, in Maxamet steel, the usual gray G10 that Spyderco puts out with Maxamet, pretty much if you see a gray, whether it's FRN or G10 from Spyderco, it's Maxamet steel. They're really the only folding knife company I know using this steel. It is an edge retention monster. This is $206.50, but Maxamet steel is not inexpensive, and I can tell you I have two other Maxamet Spydercos, which again, you're going to see in a moment, and man, the edge retention on them is just silly. It is not a stain-resistant steel, so a stainless steel, I should say, so you do have to coat it with something, whether it's oil or I use EDCI. If you can find that, I still highly recommend it. I don't know if it's back in production yet again or not. I know that it's going to be, but yeah, the little green spray does a good job. You'll see my other two Maxamets using that stuff have no corrosion on them whatsoever. But you know what? Maxamet, when it does corrode, it's more of a patina than a corrosion. It actually doesn't look half bad. I wouldn't sweat it too much unless you're just really worried about the aesthetics of it. But other than that, you know, don't worry about it. Maxamet is difficult to sharpen. I'm going to say that. But I will say I did touch up one of my Maxamets, my Manix 2 Lightweight. I probably really didn't need it, honestly. It was still screaming sharp, but I put it through a couple of full weekends in the garage, cutting up cardboard, trying to prepare to move and getting rid of some stuff. And I just touched it up just for the heck of it. And, you know, it really wasn't that bad. It just takes a long time, and you're probably going to want diamond stones. But it's not a difficult steel to sharpen. Just with this much edge retention, it's going to take a really, really long time. On the upside as well, though, I find it not to be chippy at all, which a lot of really, really hard steels get chippy. This is not chippy. I'm really, really happy with the Spyderco Maxamet. Now, my other two Maxamets are made in the U.S. in Golden, Colorado. This is a Taiwan model, so I don't know if there's any difference. I assume they just ship the same steel over to them, but I don't know if heat treat's different. I don't know. I don't really have enough experience with this to say if it's the same as my other Maxamets. It's really hard to judge the edge retention of Maxamet because it holds the edge for so long. You really, really, really gotta like just abuse the knife and yourself to really wear the edge down. So there's that. But overall shape, very familiar if you own a Sage. I'm going to bring out the Sage 5. This is the Sage 5, exactly the same shape. Which I love. And honestly, I hadn't been carrying my Sage 5 for a long time. It is one of my very, very favorite all-time EDC knives. Anytime I do one of these lists, it's usually on there. But I started carrying it again, knowing this one was coming. It got stuck in USPS hell for a while, so thank you, Postal Service, for delaying this for a week. But I kind of slipped the Sage 5 back in the rotation once I ordered this, and you know, it just reminded me all the stuff I like about the Sage 5. So I was really excited to get the Sage 1 in Maxamet because I love Maxamet and I like the look of the gray G10. And again, $206.50. This is $162 for S30V and the compression lock and this peel ply carbon fiber. So I think that's a pretty fair price. Maxamet is extremely expensive. If you're not offended by the price of this, I don't see how you'd be offended by the price. It's a cheaper lock probably. Not as much machining and stuff, but man, Maxamet is pricey. And in a lot of ways, this gray G10, a lot of people are going to say it looks nicer than this peel ply carbon. So there's that. But before I ramble on too much farther, let's do some specs and some size comparisons. You have a blade length of 3 inches, overall length of 7 1/8 inches. Sure. Blade thickness, 0.13, pretty standard Spyderco affair there. Handle thickness, 0.43, and a weight, according to my scales, of 3.37 ounces. So a little bit above that ounce per inch thing, but not dramatically so. Let's do some size comparisons. We'll start out with the Benchmade 940. And the Benchmade full-size bug out. again in gray. I keep saying Brian Speck is dead, and then I keep dragging out gray knives. The one I'm reviewing tomorrow is definitely not Brian Speck, though, so one that you guys convinced me to buy, so a teaser alert for that. But yeah, you can see it's just a good kind of EDC size, a little bit shorter than a bug out. And then we will bring out my usual Spydercos, which are also Maxamets. So we have, maybe I have a thing. We have the Manix 2 Lightweight in Maxamet, again with the gray handles, and the Para 2 in Maxamet with the gray G10. I am going to do a battle to the death between these two. I have done a battle to the death between a Para 3 and the regular, then the Sage 5 with the compression lock, the S30V. But now these are both in Maxamet. I don't know. I feel like I should do it again. You will see the difference between these. I'm just going to use the Para 3 as an example. Definitely different machine lines from the Taichung instead of the Golden Colorado. You can see where they're made on the back side there. Yeah, you can see the machining is a bit different on the Maxamet. This is a bit shinier, a bit nicer looking in my opinion. But, you know, there's that. I look at these and I think I need a new PM2 because I don't usually use this for size compares. I use a PM2, but Soulmass 45 yen, I haven't gotten another one yet. Been debating on which one I was going to get. Guess I should probably get a Maxamet, right? They make a PM2 in the Maxamet, and then I would just be a Native 5 lightweight Maxamet away from the entire set. This is how a knife addict's brain works, if you're wondering about that. I just explained it in real time. Now, the blade on this thing. Let's start out with that. Wow. It's 16 thousandths behind the edge, 16 and a half thousandths tops behind the edge. Very thin behind the edge, especially for a Spyderco. Razor sharp out of the box. Full flat grind, but, you know, it's not that thick of a blade stock, and it's a very tall flat grind. Man, this thing is whatever cliche you want to use for Slicey. It's a laser beam, it's a lightsaber, it's all those things. It is extremely, extremely Slicey. For just an EDC kind of blade, the stuff that we actually really do, cutting open boxes, you know, cutting string, stuff like that, cutting cardboard, it's fantastic. And you're not going to have to sharpen it very often at all. It does have a bit of a dainty tip. It is a Spyderco, but it's not horrible. You definitely want to be careful with it about snapping that tip off because, man, I hate to have to try and fix a Maxamet, you know, with the tip snapped off. But as long as you're not a dumbass, you should be fine. But, man, just a great EDC blade. You're going to hear that a lot. You guys already saw the title. I'm going to talk more about that in the conclusion. The Ergos are, yeah, if anything, better than the Sage 5. Just that cutout for the liner lock is almost even better than, you know, it being filled in here. It's nice and rounded off. I think ergonomically, I think it's even better than the Sage 5, which is pretty high praise because I really like the Sage 5. It's not dramatically better. But for my fingers, I don't know. I just find this to be that tiny little bit more comfortable in the hand, which is, I wasn't expecting that. And again, the wire clip, I like the wire clip. A little bit different wire clip, deep, longer wire clip on this. Yeah, Ergos are just out freaking standing on this thing. And you see I was holding it choked up. You know that's how the Spyderco powers that be intend for you to use it. And it does work extremely well like that. It's just like a nice handshake. Now, how does it carry? The G10 on this texture is slightly different than my Para 3, but it's not better or worse. Just feels very, very, very slightly different. You can see the colors are just a little bit different. Nobody's going to come across on camera. They're so close. But again, this is Taiwan. This is Golden Colorado. It may just be the time they were made. I don't know if there is an actual difference or it's just the time they were made. But how does it carry? It carries really well. 3.4 ounces, as near as doesn't matter, which is fine. It's not particularly tall in the pocket. Sage 5 carries well, so does this. Yeah, this is my first Sage 1, so I've only had Sage 5s. I had the Sage 5 and the Sage 5 lightweight, but yeah, carries really well. No complaints there. I like the wire clips. I know some people don't like them. I really like it a whole lot. as far as the action goes, pretty good. It's not like mind-blowingly like, oh, fun fidget toy. If you want that, get the Sage 5. Much more inferior steel for not much less money, but if that's your thing, the 5 has the compression lock, which is a lot of fun to play with. This is just a good old liner lock on phosphor bronze washers. Which again, for something you're just going to throw in your pocket every damn day, that's good. I really like that about it. It's not particularly drop shutty. I haven't done anything to this. Just opened and closed it for a few days, a couple of days. And yeah, it's not going to be a drop shut, fun little thing, but man, it makes a good sound. Does all the Spidey stuff you want. As you can see, I just did it again. Spidey flick it. Thumb flick it. You know, you can't compression lock it because it doesn't have one, but yeah, action is perfectly fine for what it is meant to be. And I have to say, I'm not the first to say this. I know my buddy Frank, Dr. Frunky, he said in an Instagram post, I think, he called it maybe the perfect EDC. I know Metal Complex just did a review of this yesterday. He said pretty much the same thing. And you know what? Can't argue with you. For what most of us actually do, this is nigh on perfect. The only reasons I could see not to buy this are you don't have $206, period. This is definitely worth $206, but just not everybody has $206. You're really afraid of the corrosion on the blade. You live in a really salty environment. I'm in upstate New York, I will admit. It rains here a lot, it snows here a lot, but it doesn't get damp. We don't have like humidity, so I'm a bit better off than other people that. So if you just don't really want your blade to patina at all, again, I'm not going to call it corrosion. Maxamet patinas. It doesn't really like rust. It just kind of changes color and stuff. Imagine it would rust if you really abused it, but or if you just really want that compression lock. Those are the only 3 reasons I could see why you wouldn't want this thing. I guess maybe if you really hate that wire pocket clip, but I don't understand that. This is awesome. An awesome, awesome, awesome knife. I'm going to be recommending it to lots of people. I actually already have since I got this. One of my beer drinking friends who I haven't seen in forever because of the virus was just messaging me like an hour ago. And he was saying, why can't I get this knife shipped to me on Amazon to New York? And I had to explain, yeah, Amazon's awful to us in New York. They don't let us have a lot of stuff. They think it's a whole other thing. They think the city is the whole state, blah, 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 blah. But the knife he was thinking about, I was like, no, what are you going to do with it? And he told me, oh, it's just usual stuff, you know, cutting up boxes, that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, get one of these. And I did recommend it to him. I think he's going to get one. So just for simple, basic, other than the steel, it's just a basic, perfect EDC knife. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. Really like this knife a lot. Maybe in a top 10 list at the end of the year. I really like it that much. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.